Well, welcome in everybody. This is kind of I often say in my yoga classes, take a moment to sort of notice your body might be still right now, but there's this sort of inertia of the brain that's still really moving. It's that feeling of when you're driving a car and you have to stop really quickly. So as you transition from a sales meeting to a meeting on mindfulness, you might feel that little bit of a mental lurch as you're adjusting to the transition. So I just want to name that that's here right now. Um, I'm gonna kind of dovetail off of Jessica's practice last week, where we did the stop, where we stopped, we took some breaths, we observed, and then we proceeded with caution. And I'm also going to teach a practice using an acronym today. And it's a practice called RAIN, which for us on Whidbey Island, I mean, we all need to know how to do a rain practice, right? We live in one of the rainiest places. I'm going to start by telling a story, and then we're going to drop into practice. So I was having a conversation with one of my teachers the other day, and my teacher was describing to me this really frustrating situation that he was experiencing. And he started to feel the frustration was really rising, the discomfort was building. And he used the language of how he felt like his body became a volcano. And at one point, he was sort of erupting, and this is what was happening. And he was like, this is just what was here right now. And I had to just let it happen. I couldn't stop the eruption. And then what I realized is that those feelings were visitors. They were going to come and they were going to go. And as the eruption slowed down, I was going to come back to my body, which is the calm place. This, of course, I was talking to my 6-year-old, who is one of my teachers. And he was describing to me, he had had a really rough morning and had had a really hard time navigating some emotions. But what he was describing in 6-year-old language was the RAIN practice and his own understanding of what it's like to move through discomfort and difficulty by using the body and a mindfulness practice. And if a 6-year-old knows how to do that intuitively, we do too, but I think sometimes we've forgotten how to employ some of that skillfulness. So with your permission, I'd really love for us to move through a RAIN practice together. And I want to say for you what that is first. The R is very simply recognition. It's to recognize what's happening right now, what's going on, what's here. The A, which is to me, a very important sibling to the R, is allowing. So once you recognize, you say, okay, I'm going to allow this to be here. What choice do I have? The pandemic is here. My whole profession got turned upside down. I can't control those things. All I can do is say, yes, this is what's here right now, and I allow it to be. The I, which is, I think, perhaps the most powerful part of this practice, is investigation, but specifically using the body as the tool of investigation. So as my 6-year-old described his body as a volcano, and that feeling that as the eruption settled, this dropping into the body, that returning to the calm space that's within. The body is our own investigative tool to feel, where are we feeling discomfort? And when I'm in a meeting and there's something that I know needs to be said, do I feel it in my throat? Is there a tightening here that happens? When I'm working with a client that our personalities don't particularly mesh, is there a knot in my stomach today? Do I feel a headache? Where do these sensations live in the body, and what does that tell me? And then the N is nurture. And this is what I want to say about nurture. When I say the word nurture, oftentimes the imagery that comes to mind is like Mother Earth, right? Or we think of our own mother. We've been taught to view nurturing as something, we've outsourced it. It's something that someone else or something else gives to us. So Mother Earth nurtures us. Our own mother nurtured us as children. Maybe our relationships nurture us. Here's the thing, I want to empower you today. Take back your own agency. You don't need to wait for any external source to nurture you. You have that ability. So as you move through the RAIN practice of recognizing, allowing, investigating, when you get to the nurture, it's that opportunity for you to say, how do I need to take care of myself right now? Is there a boundary I need to establish here? And so you kind of move back into a position of no, like I can also take care of myself without anyone giving me that permission. Okay. Let's drop into a practice, shall we? Okay. Quick, simple. Get the body into a comfortable position. Find a resting place for your hands. Let the eyelids just drape over the eyes like heavy curtains, just closing over the eyes. And then right away, shifting into the R, recognizing what is here right now. Is there something that's happened in the day today, or maybe this week already, there's a sort of weighted quality? And you feel yourself carrying that. And can you just recognize this is what is here right now? And then instead of moving into the judgmental or the comparative mind, can you begin to shift into the A part of the rain practice by simply allowing it to be here? And sometimes at this point in the rain practice, I find it helpful to say something like, yes, this is here. I'm going to let this be. And if you find yourself really resistant to whatever is here, sometimes it helps to just mentally whisper, frustration is here. Discomfort is here. Stress is here. And often, simply by naming what is here, we create enough distance to recognize that, as my son said, it's just a visitor. It's going to come and it's going to go. And then from recognizing and allowing, we begin to shift into investigation, specifically investigation through the body. So, whatever it is that you're noticing is here in this moment, can you start to drop in to the physical experience to notice, where does this live in your body? Where's this sensation housed, or from where is it really making itself known? And can you just sort of observe, this is the house where fear lives in my body. This is where anxiety lives in my body. There you are. And seeing if you can allow yourself to breathe with what is here, trusting that the body creates this sort of safe container for this experience to live in the body without it overwhelming you. And in the final stage of that rain practice, we start to shift into a place of nurturing. This place where we start to extend ourselves some tenderness. Or maybe ask yourself the question, what would it look like to extend compassion to myself right now? How would it feel to introduce a little bit more space around this feeling? What do I need to feel safe in this moment? And then just Pausing for about 3 more breaths, about 15 seconds, to just let it rain. Let yourself rest in the quiet space that's on the other side of that recognition, the allowing, the investigation, and the nurturing. As you take your next breath, feel your body sort of pushing up against the space around you, the air around you. As you exhale, letting the body soften and letting the eyes blink open if you chose to close them. So that's the rain practice. I want to say, if I used the story of my son to illustrate that this is a practice that's so applicable in so many areas of our life, in our parenting, in our profession. It's something you can do really quickly, but it's really something you carry with you. And it's just a reminder that we don't need to outsource our ability to be okay, that we have the ability to move through these really simple practices that just bring us back to our own inner knowing and our ability to take care of ourselves. I want to mention that in the follow-up email that you're going to get to today's practice, there's going to be 3 practices available to you. One of those, I know that many of you are not yoga practitioners, but if you're interested in doing a more movement-based practice, I'm linking one of my yoga practices called Let It Rain, where we actually incorporate the rain practice in a 30-minute yoga practice. So what it does is it sort of puts this practice in the body. And sometimes, for me at least, by putting it in the body, I can feel it to a greater degree. There's also going to be a great practice taught by one of our teachers, Mary, that's on headaches, which I did 5 hours of work on the computer yesterday and had a splitting headache at the end of it. So that can be really helpful. And then there's a full body scan practice that we're going to link, which give yourself 20 minutes and drop into a full body release. I'd love to open it up if anybody has any questions from either the stop practice last week or the rain practice this week, if there's any clarification that's needed, or if you're wondering how you might use these practices effectively. And I don't bite, so feel free to speak up.
Jennifer Cox, I want you to do the rain today. You're muted, Jennifer.
What did you say, Joe?
I want you to do the rain a lot today.
Well, I have to admit, I feel safe here, and Jyoti, you made me cry.
Oh.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everybody. I think the last thing I want to just name is this is March 2nd. We're officially a year into, and I know for you guys in particular, your whole entire professional world, it was like a snow globe and someone turned it upside down and shook really, really hard to see how many snowflakes they could get moving. That's what's happened to your guys' industry. The fact that you're still showing up and have the resiliency to be here right now is such an illustration of your strength, your character, what you're capable of. So as a member of the community that you serve, thank you for being here. I know March is probably a complicated month. We're carrying a lot of things right now. So nurture yourself, truly.